A flex shot is definitely one of the coolest shots in disc golf. And according to one of our JustDisc community polls and over 4,000 votes, you guys said that it's your second favorite shot, with the Hyzer Flip taking the first spot. Now, we've already done an in-depth analysis of the Hyzer Flip, but we've never really done one for the flex shot. So today on JustDisc, we're gonna tell you everything you need to know about the flex shot. We're gonna let you know what it is, when to use it, and how to perform one correctly. So let's get into it. So let's first describe just what a flex shot is. A flex shot is when the disc is released on an Anheuser angle, or a better way of thinking of it is forced over on an Anheuser angle with an overstable disc. So if you throw right hand backhand, the disc will start to travel to the right, but then the overstability of the disc will have it fight back to the left or fade to the left to finish. Now, if you're throwing left-handed or you're trying to throw a forehand, the same thing applies, except everything is reversed. Interestingly enough, beginners often already know how to do this shot, or they do it without actually realizing it. And that's because newer players have a lot of fade in their shot. So what do they try and do? They try and force it over to the other side to try and get some more distance, or just to get the disc flat for a little longer. But this creates some bad habits and it doesn't really help them later on. So now let's talk about when to use a flex shot, and there are actually several instances. Now, the first instance is the most common, what everybody talks about, and that's for tree-lined courses, when you need to meander your disc around a few trees. When there really isn't a direct route, a flex shot is definitely going to be useful for that. Now, the second instance to use a flex shot is when you're just looking for more easy distance. Now, a flex shot is not the max distance shot type that's out there that actually goes to the Hyzer Flip, but it is easier distance, and that's because the disc needs time to fight out of that overstability, which allows the disc to stay in the air a little bit longer. Now, the third instance to use a flex shot is when you're looking for a consistent, predictable flight. A flex shot, because you use an overstable disc, you're not really going to lose it too much to the right, and because you're forcing it over to the right on a right-hand backhand shot, you're not going to lose it too much to the left as well. So it's a flight pattern that you can predict, so there really isn't any guessing to how your disc is going to fly. And the fourth and final incentive to use a flex shot, and one that a lot of people don't talk about, is to use it for approach shots. A lot of newer players approach either flat or with a hyzer. They never really think about adding a little bit of flex, a little bit of Anheuser to their approach to keep more of a straight and controlled, predictable flight. So I definitely suggest you try this out. Try approaching with a little bit of flex with a little bit of an Anheuser angle, and you're gonna notice that you get more control with your disc. It kind of flies more straight, and you're not really losing it too much to the left or right. So you now know what a flex shot is and when to use one, but I'm sure you'd like to know how to perform one correctly. The first thing you need for a flex shot, and definitely the most important, or it's just not going to work, is you need to use an overstable disc. Now, as a general rule of thumb, a disc that has more fade is going to be more overstable. However, there are a ton of factors that affect a disc stability, and we've already done a few videos on that, so make sure you check those out to clear any confusion. So some discs that I use for flex shots may not work for you. It differs from person to person. But one of the easiest ways to kind of assess would be to take your discs, try and throw them flat at their correct speeds, and look at which ones want to fade out heavily early. And those discs are going to be more ideal for your flex shots. Now, the next step to throwing a flex shot is putting the disc on an Anheuser angle and keeping that Anheuser angle throughout the entire throw. Now, unlike the Hyzer Flip video, where I was telling you to use your body to lean forward to create that hyzer angle, this time it's almost the exact same thing except the opposite. So if you're standing up straight, you're about to throw a flat right hand backhand shot, your arm, your wrist, everything is in position. All you need to now do is slightly lean back, and your arm and wrist are going to follow that lean and create that Anheuser angle. Now, there are differences of opinions on how you create that angle. The main thing is that you have an Anheuser angle and you commit all the way through. Now, it's important to note here that the Anheuser angle and how much Anheuser to give it is going to take some practice, and different discs are going to need more Anheuser than others, or more speed into it than others, so there is definitely a bit of trial and error. Now, not to overcomplicate things, but there are a few other important things to know. If throwing right-hand backhand, you're going to start your run-up from the back right of the tee pad, and you're going to finish at the top left. And you're doing this because you're forcing over the disc on an Anheuser angle to the right, and it's going to need a little bit of room to the right to get that full flight. The next thing is try to release the disc with its nose angled down. The more upwards that you put it, the less of a flex that you're going to get. And lastly, it's also important to note that with forehands, you're really not using your body like you are with backhands. It really is more of a wrist and slight body movement, but not as much as for the backhands. If you want to watch a professional who's incredible at flex shots, really world-renowned, check out Nico Lacastro. It is his go-to staple shot, and you can really learn a lot from watching him. Please remember that it takes a lot of practice and commitment to get this shot right, and even the best players in the world throw some really poor flex shots from time to time. If you like this video and you want more JustDisc content, consider subscribing. And if you're already a JustDisc subscriber, consider checking out our Patreon. There's some exclusive stuff like monthly giveaways as well as video shoutouts, so that may be something that interests you. Thanks as always for watching JustDisc. We'll see you in the next one. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt.